Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give our honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashim, Yahushai, Ba'ashim, Kakwadash. Double honor to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and salutations to the elect of the nation of Israel, starting off with the 144,000, which will be the ruling governing body in the kingdom of heaven. Then you also have a lot of the elect here in America, which is the large multitude of believers, which will include men, women, and children that will be saved. Two-thirds of our people will be destroyed here in America. You also have the rebels that will be scattered abroad, that are that will be destroyed. Same thing with the elect that are scattered abroad that will be saved of the Israelites, of who the world calls black, Hispanic, Native American, Puerto Rican, Dominican, Jamaican, Haitian, what amongst the Panamanians, Cubans. Those are the Israelites, always have been, always will be, contrary to what they was raised to be, or contrary to what they was taught. Contrary to what they was raised to be, contrary to what they was taught and brought up to believe. Hey, you are the Israelites, you know. Truth is coming out in these latter days, but I kind of just wanted to make a quick little video. Just, hey, Esau is just being exposed on a whole new level. There is nothing this man can do, man. Like, I'll say he got to be Jake, man. This guy, because I mean, I've known about his page for probably, I don't know, probably a month now, or something like that, probably longer. But I just ain't got around to make a video. But I'm doing it now. You know, it's lucky if I didn't say my name. My name is Jeremiah in the Hebrew. Um, but this guy who appears to look like a Caucasian man, or what you would call white man today, he he's bringing out everything. I mean, that we already know. You know, this man is the devil, right? And there's nothing that he can do to change that. There's nothing that he can do to stop what's going on as far as everything being exposed. You know, this man has a whole page dedicated to exposing people that look like him. Should I say that? Europeans. Right? Let me see if I can turn it down. So y'all can see what that says. It says Europeans, which they're not. They're not. None of the names they go by today. That's what they are. That's not what they are. That's a cover up too. They're the Edomites, man. You know, his whole page, man. You know, is dedicated to, like I said, exposing the so-called white man. You know, I already been talking for 2 minutes, but let me get a scripture. And let me see. Second Esdras 6, real quick. Second Esdras 6, and let me see. Second Esdras 6 and verse 22. No, that's not it. That's not it. Salakia. Let me see where it's at. Where it says true shall flourish. Salakia. Let me get that really quick. So it is in Second Esdras 6. It's in 28. It says, as for faith, it shall flourish, right? Corruption shall be overcome, which is wickedness, and the truth, right? Us being the Israelites, right? This man being the Edomite, the devil. The Bible speaks of the deceiver, right? You know, the just the truth of our reality that we're living in, and the truth of what actually happened in the past, and who everybody is. Everything is being exposed, which have been so long without fruit shall be declared. That's happening. It's being declared, man. You know, like I said, there's nothing nobody can do about it, man. Nobody can stop that. You know, right? We just in that time, right? And call hello YASHAMIAHLA for that. You know, this is what's bringing down this man's kingdom, is this truth being pushed out on a high level. And you got his own people, which Esau calls them whistleblowers, truthers, you know, all these different titles and labels that Esau gives his own, you know, that's going against the status quo, or, you know, what do you call it, politically correct. You know, hey, people don't care about that shit no more, man, because they know they've been fucking lied to, man. You know. Let me see. Let me find the scripture in Sirach. I just thought of it. Let me see. I know it's in Sirach somewhere. So this is Sirach 41, right? Because you got a lot of Edomites, man. They're not. You got Edomites that are still proud to be what they are and what they did, you know, what their ancestors did. But you got a lot of them now. They not proud and they mad at what their forefathers did. Which you are your forefathers, by the way. You know, you the same spirits coming back, but you don't know that. Those things are revealed to the prophets, the servants of YASHAMIAHLA. That's Sirach 41. And verse 7, it says, the children will complain of an ungodly father because they shall be reproached for his sake. Right? And these Edomites, man, you know, this is a form of that reproaching. Right? Stuff like this, you know, them being, you know, ridiculed, mocked, laughed at, you know, blamed, right? You know, judged, you know, just shitted on pretty much. You shit on your own. You know, if he's a Edomite, the Edomites don't tell the truth, man. You know, they the devil. So we know we got a lot of Israelites that look like him, like the so-called white man, but they're really Israelites. They seed line really goes back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So we don't preach that Israelites just look like fucking Shaquille O'Neal, man. You know, our Israelites look like all different shades, man. It don't matter if you fucking dark as tar or you as light as the sun. You know, it doesn't matter. You know, you got Israelites, like I said, that look like everything under the sun, literally. We got Israelites that look like so-called Asians, so-called East Indians, right? All these different nations because we've been scattered, right? Let me get a scripture to prove that we've been scattered everywhere and that the Bible is for the Israelites. This is James 1:1. It says, James, a servant of Yahweh and of the Lord Yahweh Shah Mashiach, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad. Greeting. You see that? The 12 tribes of Israel were scattered abroad to different countries, different places on the earth. Right? And when it happened, what did these people do? They took on the customs, the traditions, right? The beliefs of these other nations, man. The Lord always separated us, man. You know? And like I said, a lot of you Israelites think now that the so-called white man is your God, right? But those lies are being dismantled, man. Like I said, there's nothing this man could do, really. All he's gonna have to do is bring out that sword, and we're patiently waiting for that. Just to let you know, Esau, we want you to do it quicker, but we know that the Lord is in control, man. But I kind of want to play some of these videos because I love seeing this shit, man. I know other brothers do too. You know, and the elders, they love seeing stuff like this, man. This is, hey, you know, you only, if he's an Edomite, this guy, he's just helping bringing out his own. I mean, we don't give a damn. You helping further the truth. You know, as far as this devil's lies just not being what they was. Right? Let me play one video. I think the first video I had was this one.
Have always stolen everything. They've stolen land, of course. But that was just the opening act. Europeans have stolen everything. Material, labor, lifeways, language, even the ability to imagine a future outside of their theft. They stole Turtle Island with treaties they never owned.
And that just made me think of like the way they got this land, America and Babylon. They stole it. They raped people, you know, right? A lot of the Southern Kingdom or another Northern Kingdom. Well, both kingdoms, but you know, they did that. That's how they got this land, right? And they don't see a reality outside of this place because they think that they're going to rule forever, right? But that's not the case. That's not the case. Let's get Psalms 49 and verse 11, man. You devils are finished, man. You devils are finished. That's why they want to take down TikTok, man, and every other social media sites, man. It's out there. You're done, right? This is Psalms 49:11. It says, "Their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places shall to all generations. And they call the lands after their own names." Is that not what they do? Right? America's the name of an Italian navigator, I believe, or Italian map maker. You know, which was an Edomite. You know. And all the other land masses today, they were named after Edomites, man. Let's play a video again.
Honored, stole Africa borders they never lived in, stole Australia by calling it empty, stole Palestine by funding a settler state, and each time they renamed the theft as discovery. They didn't just take territory, they fabricated sovereignty out of violence. They built nations on unmarked graves, then built museums to frame it as progress. Chattel slavery wasn't just forced work. It was the systemic extraction of time, body, memory, and reproductive life. The transatlantic slave.
So basically, what they did was take over everything and put their own spin on it, which they spin is some bullshit. You know, they took everybody else's cultures, not even just the Israelites, mainly us, but all these other races and people too. They took their shit and, like I said, they put their own little spin on it. That's all they did, and they try to make it seem like, you know, that they shit wasn't right or they didn't know what they was doing. They always try to put these lies out there to make it seem like they always was the top dogs. They always had the knowledge. They always had the wisdom to guide anything and everyone, and that's not the case.
Trade turned people into credit, generations into capital, and when formal slavery ended, they simply renamed it indenture, plantation debt, prison labor, minimum wage. They don't pay, they extract. Every developed European economy sits atop the plunder of others. Belgium's wealth equals Congo's mutilated children. Britain's empire equals Bengal's famines. India's looted GDP.
So basically, they had to, you know, hey, to get their wealth, like he said, they had to mutilate children. They had to cause violence upon earth, man. You Jakes gotta understand, man. These people are the fucking wicked, man. These people are the wicked of the earth, right? Their history shows, so their track record tells you that, right? That's why let me see that. What's that? A Nahum. Let me get that Nahum. Let me see. That might not have been the one I want to get. Well, yeah, I get it. It's Nahum 3:1. It says, "Woe to the bloody city," right? Which is death and destruction means woe. It is awful and lies, which is America, and robbery, and the prey departeth not. So, you know, the prey is who? The Israelites. We ain't went out of this place. We ain't went back to our homeland. You know, we're not sovereign. We can't follow the Lord's commandments, His laws like we want to, right? We can't do that. You know, everything about this place is a lie. There's no truth in it. You know, so the scriptures, they reign true, man. This Bible is the truest book that has ever been written. You know, and the inspiration came from on high. You know, so we don't care about who you Jason don't believe. We don't give a damn.
France's monuments equal Haitian reparation payments. Spain's gold equals indigenous blood across Abya Yala. They didn't build wealth. They looted it. Then, they called it industrialization. They took African deities and renamed them demons. Took Arab numbers and called them Western math. Took Eastern philosophy and sold it as mindfulness. Took black music and charted it with white faces. They turned your...
So I'm gonna say this: you chew the meat, spit out the bones, Jake. You know, he said something about African deities. They call them demons. The only, the only powers that you're supposed to worship or commemorate is how about Shemiah, the God of the Bible, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, not your own shit that you made up. You know, the Lord controls all those spirits, those powers. Right? You don't worship demons. You don't worship those things. The Lord created those things. Right? So, like I said, you chew the meat, spit out the bones. He's gonna say some terms and some words that, that's just what people use today, but that doesn't make it right. Like he called us. He said, "What did he say? Black? We're not black." So I'm gonna play a video. But I mean, what he's speaking in general is the truth. So that's why I'm doing a lesson on it.
Ruba into voodoo, turned indigenous prophecy into apocalypse fiction. Took the drum, the braid, the spice, the chant, then banned it. Then sold it back through Apple commercials and Coachella fashion lines. Europeans don't create. They curate what they've already stolen. Residential schools, forced adoptions, sterilization clinics, boarding schools, welfare raids. They stole native children, African children, Maori children, Aboriginal children, then documented it in church archives, not courts. And when colonized women resisted, they sterilized them, without consent, without anesthesia, sometimes as policy, sometimes as casual genocide. European time is not neutral. It's stolen. They imposed clocks over cycles.
Yep. The scriptures tell you they gonna do that too. Let me get that. I'm gonna probably, Lord willing, I'm probably gonna do like a series on this. Think to change. Might switch it up a little bit, Lord willing. I know it's in Daniel. Yep, so this is Daniel 7, verse 25. It says, and he shall speak, that he is Esau. He shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, which are the Israelites, and think to change the times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand until a time is dividing the time. You see that? So these people did all of that. They didn't spoke great words against the Most High, his son, right? Changed the images of him, right? Made us work for, so little, but they made us work so much, and they still doing it. And they didn't change the whole narrative of time, existence, and everything. They done all that. They created these clocks. They created the Gregorian calendar, right? Even that idea, they got that from somebody else. If you do the research, I believe it goes back to just the idea of the calendar. I believe it goes back to the Babylonians, if I'm not mistaken. Which, brothers can correct me on that. But these Edomites, they weren't the originators of nothing or anything that you fucking see. All right. First and foremost, it was YASHAMIAHLA. The Lord used Israelites to create stuff on earth, but it was the Lord. Give him the credit. Play the video again.
Calendars over ceremonies, and 40-hour work weeks over subsistence and kinship.
If you look up who created that, it was an Edomite. It was a so-called white man.
They stole the future by criminalizing rest. They stole the past by rewriting every archive. They even stole the present by flooding the world with distractions while the planet burns. Their time is linear, extractive, and detached from responsibility. It is the schedule of empire. They stole artifacts. They stole bodies. They stole the very dead. Museums across Europe house over 1.5 million stolen cultural artifacts and refuses to return them. British, German, and French museums hold African skulls like trophies. Papuan ancestral bones.
That made me think of that movie. It's off, but I mean it has some truth in it. That movie Black Panther that Jake's in the world like. There was a part, I believe, that one Jake actor, what's his name, Michael B. Jordan, I think it's his name. There was a part where he was in the museum, and then he said he was just looking at it. And then this Edomite lady, I think, came over to him and said something. And he said something about colonizers, which those are the Edomites, man. They the ones that have done that. So, pretty soon we're gonna get up out of here. So, like I said, I'm probably gonna do like a series on this. I'm gonna just close out. Peace out. Your timer's up. Ain't nothing you can do, man. There is nothing you can do, regardless of how you want to control the narrative. Now, everybody knows your shit is bullshit, even your own people. What can you do? Bring out that sword, man. Come on. So, yeah, I hope this lesson was edifying. Like I said, I'm probably gonna do a series on this because this brother, if he's Israelite, I believe he may be. He gotta be because he's bringing out the truth. It's too much coming up. This man shaking in his boots. So, with that, I hope this video was edifying, to the Lord's elect, the Lord's sheep. I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Akakwadash. Double honor to the elders, apostles, great millstone. Until next time, I want to say, Wad, Shalom.